The salt-laced wind howled a mournful dirge as Eleanor drifted into Ashworth Cove. The village, a cluster of decaying clapboard houses clinging precariously to the craggy cliffs of the Maine coast, felt more like a graveyard than a home. She'd inherited her great-aunt Agatha's estate, a sprawling, Gothic mansion named Seacrest, perched on the highest promontory, overlooking the churning Atlantic. The locals, weathered and wary, offered only terse greetings and averted gazes, their silence heavier than the fog that perpetually blanketed the cove. Eleanor, a historian seeking solace from a recent personal tragedy, hoped the isolation would provide a balm for her wounded spirit. But Seacrest was far from a peaceful retreat. The mansion groaned and creaked with unseen forces, its shadowed corridors echoing with whispers she couldn't quite decipher. Cobwebs draped like macabre tapestries, and the air hung thick with the scent of brine and decay. One afternoon, while exploring the dusty attic, Eleanor stumbled upon a hidden compartment behind a towering oak bookcase. Inside, she found a leather-bound journal, its pages brittle and yellowed. It was Agatha's diary, detailing a chilling secret. Agatha wrote of a pact made generations ago between the Ashworth families and a malevolent entity dwelling in the cove of a being they called the Tide Watcher. In exchange for prosperity, the families had offered ritualistic sacrifices, binding themselves to an ancient and terrible power. But Agatha, horrified by the tradition, had attempted to break the pact, invoking a curse upon herself and the entire village. The diary entries grew increasingly frantic, chronicling strange occurrences, unexplained disappearances, leather-stopped mutilations, and whispers carried on the wind. Agatha believed she was being haunted by the spirit of someone sacrificed long ago, a young woman named Sarah, drowned in the cove to appease the Tide Watcher. Eleanor dismissed it as the ravings of a disturbed mind, until the nightmares began. Each night, Eleanor dreamed of icy water engulfing her, a spectral figure beckoning from the depths. She heard whispers calling her name, felt cold hands brushing against her skin. One evening, while walking along the beach at low tide, she saw a shimmering, translucent form emerge from the water, a woman with long, seaweed-entangled hair and hollow eyes filled with an unbearable sorrow. It was Sarah, the sacrificial victim, forever bound to Ashworth Cove. Sarah's sorrow turned to rage as she reached for Eleanor, her touch as cold as the grave. Driven by terror, Eleanor fled back to Seacrest. She barricaded herself inside, poring over Agatha's diary, desperately seeking a way to break the curse. She discovered a ritual outlined in the final pages of that cleansing ceremony to be performed at the cove during the next full moon. It required a personal sacrifice, an item of great sentimental value offered to the sea as atonement for the sins of the past. On the night of the full moon, Eleanor, armed with Agatha's journal and a silver locket containing a picture of her deceased husband, ventured down to Ashworth Cove. The villagers watched from the shadows, their faces gaunt and expectant. The air crackled with an unnatural energy as Eleanor stood at the water's edge, reciting the ancient incantation. As she cast the locket into the churning waves, a blood-curdling scream pierced the night. The ghostly figure of Sarah materialized before her, her eyes burning with fury. But as the waves crashed against the shore, something shifted. A blinding light erupted from the water, engulfing Sarah's spectral form. The screams faded, replaced by an eerie silence. When the light subsided, Sarah was gone. The malevolent presence that had haunted Ashworth Cove for generations was finally banished. Eleanor returned to Seacrest, exhausted but alive. The mansion no longer felt oppressive. The shadows seemed less menacing. But the experience had irrevocably changed her. She knew she could never truly escape the shadow of Ashworth Cove. The echo of Sarah's sorrow forever imprinted on her soul. She stayed in the village, forever haunted, hoping that her presence will ward off evil. The ocean whispers continued, but now they seemed less mournful, more like a sigh of relief. Perhaps, after all, peace could be found even in the darkest of places, even in the heart of a curse, and Eleanor had found her peace in the haunted mansion by the cove.